Anybody who knows me knows I'm messy Bessie. So that's why I have my little spot to be messy.
We won't mess with your mess. I'm one of those ones that's of the older crowd, like Bess was saying. 49 years this year I've been a nurse, and it's been, I wouldn't change it for anything. Been doing a lot of different things, and I'm at the other end of the spectrum with geriatric care, and have to keep an eagle eye out for different things. But to our speaker, Kathy Arnold is an RN and works at Christiana Hospital in Wilmington in the orthopedic, neurological, and trauma units as a staff nurse. She's been a member of the Delaware Right to Life Board, overseeing many aspects of educational projects, including exhibit at major Delaware public events. She also participates at her parish level in St. Polycarp's Church in Smyrna to promote educational activities and youth instruction. She is also active in the 40 Days for Life. That's the prayerful vigil for the pro-life. Kathy? Thank you.
If you have a cell phone with you, would you either turn it off or silence it? We don't want to disturb our speakers. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. This is, I'm going to have to move your stuff, Bess. My piece is to cover the, just recently they came out with this research, supposed research, that abortion is safer than bearing a child. So I took that advice, not advice, that piece of so-called research, and I researched it myself to find the facts. I wanted to find out the effects of abortion. Is it safe? It is safe and legal, supposedly. What about the reproductive problems, mental disorders, subsequent abortions, and community resources for women who are pregnant? Where can they go? Or if they're post-abortive, where is the help out there for them? Safe and legal. What are the risks of abortion versus childbirth? Is abortion safer than childbirth? What about the abortion-related deaths? This, what I found in my research is, I don't know why I guess the pro-choice side ignores these facts. Many women have died from having abortions. In this statistical data that I found, you have live births. For every 100,000 women who have, 100,000 women who have a baby, 27 would die. Miscarriages, 48%, 48 would die out of 100,000. And abortion, if a woman has an abortion, it's 101 would die per 100,000. The other thing I found was, I don't know, well, because I'm so pro-life, it's hard for me not to keep saying I don't see why they can't see this research, why they can't see what I see, because it's black and white to me. Abortive women are 4 times more likely to die within a year compared to a woman who gave birth. Some of the things that happen with the abortions is that they perforate the uterus, they're in an abortion clinic, they don't have medical resources there, they don't have a hospital that you can go get your blood if you need a blood transfusion, you can go get more help, you can get more nurses, more doctors, more people in that environment to help to save that woman's life. With the Blackman Wall, at this website, you'll find 347 women who have died. If you look on page 2, you'll find Nadine's name. She was a mother of 3, she was 32, and she had her abortion in a hospital, yet she died from blood loss. With what I just said, having all those resources in a hospital, everything's right there for you, compared to an abortion facility, why did she die? Why wasn't her life more protected being in a hospital than being in an abortion facility? If they have any kind of issues at an abortion facility, they have to be transported from that facility by ambulance to a hospital. Therefore, there's that delay in care. Whereas in a hospital, it should have been taken care of right away. She should have not have died. And if you go to the gender gap, I went to Raw Forum. And the gender gap, what this site was doing was looking for equality for women in the workplace and comparing how many women can go or in legislation, in high positions, in parliament, all this stuff. One thing they didn't point out was the difference between women who died, excuse me, from birth and who died from an abortion. So the statistics on this page show that for every 100,000 women, how many have died. It also shows if there were skilled healthcare professionals during the delivery, and if abortion was legal. This website did not state if the abortion is legal or anything. I found that on another website. So with what I pulled off that website, you'll see that Ireland, Morocco, and the Philippines, abortion is illegal. And if you look at Ireland alone, you'll see that only one woman dies per 100,000. And they have 100% skilled healthcare professionals during that delivery. Now, if you look down at Morocco and Philippines, you'll see in the skilled health that that percentage drops. And when that percentage drops, you'll see that the abortion, not the abortion, sorry, but that the rate of mortality goes up quite a bit. So, and then if you compare the other ones, you know, Nigeria is 1,100 per 100,000. And the skilled healthcare is down to 35%. Very high, but then abortion is legal there. And if you just compare the other sites, in the United States you have 11 per 100,000, but then you have skilled health professionals there too. I wish that they had separated out if you had died from an abortion, or if you had died from actual childbirth, or because you were keeping the baby and ended up having a premature birth and dying subsequently. But they don't. So you can't get a true feel of what the study is going to tell you. You just have to assume that part of these women have died because of an abortion. And if you take into account that when abortion is illegal, and you have good health care providers, that the rate of a woman dying drops substantially. In the next slide, you'll see, this shows you all the abortion laws. You'll see that the United States is legal, no restrictions whatsoever. And then in the other countries, you have, in the red area, they said it's only for social reasons, mental health, and low income. And the yellow is rape, incest, and deformed child. And then the green is never legal. Now I tried to get, after I did my research and I went back and I found this piece of information, and for Chile, I went back to the other website, the forum, and their site was down, so I couldn't get the current statistics for Chile. So what I did find for this site showed me that in 1961 in Chile, abortion was legal. 34% of the women would die out of 100,000. And in 2007, abortion was illegal, and that rate dropped by 31.9%. So that statistic alone shows you that abortion has an impact. The other thing I found doing my research was that the abortions on death certificates are not listed. I had a family member tell me a few years back that she was doing her history and her husband's history and found that one of her husband's aunts had died from an abortion, actually said on a birth certificate. They're changing the terminology today. They don't always put abortion on the death certificate. You will see hemorrhage, you'll see anaphylactic shock or septic shock, because when the woman has the abortion at an abortion facility, goes home, and then is bleeding, family or someone takes her to a hospital, and at that point she's dying from septic shock. But the original cause was the abortion. So it's not listed. So you're going to have a disparity with the actual true numbers. Now, I'm sure all of you are aware, in India and in other countries who feel that a male child is preferred over a female child, basically because the male child in their society takes care of the parents when they get old. So you'll see in India, babies being aborted more times than boys, baby girls rather, than boys. In Punjab, India, there's 300 girls for every 1,000 boys. And that was in 2007. was the information I pulled up for that one. And then they had, with the ultrasound capabilities, they found that when the women were going in to have an ultrasound, they were aborting the baby girls. And what I also just found was, in some countries, they have a, I guess it's a, you get a stipend if you have a baby girl. If you don't abort your girl, they'll pay you for having that baby. So I didn't go really read all that information because it was just a little bit, but they're recognizing, these countries are recognizing that the baby girls are being aborted and that the disparity is growing higher. And we see that in China also with their abortion on demand, 1 child per family. They don't want a girl because then they don't have the security in old age to have someone to take care of them. Where did all this come from? Why do we have abortion? Well, Margaret Sanger, what she saw in her life was, she was, I think, it was one of 11. I think her mother had 15, 11 lived. While she grew up, she helped raise the younger children. She watched her mother die of tuberculosis and cervical cancer. And she ended up, she was a nurse, and she ended up saying, she was in the slums, and this is in the 1920s, 1930s. She was, I'm sorry, not 19, I'm sorry, back that up. It was 1800s. Can you go to the next slide? She was born in 1883. She died in 1966. And during her time, her was the 20s. And she had saw women dying because they were doing self-abortions. And she saw her, I guess, her own femininity of being a mother and having to bear children as a negative thing. She felt that women should have sexual freedom and that women should not have to conform to what a mother should be and what the stereotype of a mother was back then. So she, in her way of thinking, felt that she was helping women, and she believed that one way to stop this was to create birth control pills. So she had worked with the doctor to create this pill. But then, I understand where she was in the beginning, but then it changed because she really was for, she did not like the poor class. She wanted to get rid of the poor class. She was for forced eugenics, segregation, abortion, birth control, and sexual immorality. She began the American birth control in 1922. She had 2 children, Stuart and Peggy died at the age of 6. So I don't know how that influenced her, I don't know. I do know that her mother was Catholic and her father was an atheist. And her father actually was a sculptor and sculptured angels. So, you don't know what someone's psyche is about and why they choose the paths they choose. To me, it sort of seems like she was angry. And this is how she took out her anger. Margaret Sanger had many quotes, and just from reading her quotes, you'll see that she did not like the black race. She considered them human weeds, reckless breeders, spawning human beings who never should have been born. On sterilization and racial purification, couples should be rewarded who choose sterilization. On the right of married couples to bear children, that they should submit an application. And on the purpose of birth control is to create a race of thoroughbreds. If you think about what she's thinking, and if you think about Hitler and what he did, I read on one site that she wasn't for what Hitler was doing with throwing him into the gas chambers, but she was for it in the same way, but just a different way of doing it. So, purifying that race. Now, there's other research that Bess gave me this morning, which I did know about, I just didn't have the paperwork. I'll read this to you. It says that there's no link between mental health and abortion. All right, it says, having an abortion does not increase the risk of mental health problems, but having a baby does. I don't think I had any mental health problems. And I have 5 babies. So, but people who know me might think I have some. But, and then it says, one of the largest studies to compare the aftermath of both decisions. So, I don't know. I just think that they're not looking at all the research. That's how I feel.